Hi, there's a chat window here. So anybody there? How many of them? 8 of them. Can you, Shushma,
Yes, sir. Good
can
morning,
hear
sir.
me well, right?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Perfect. So let's start the class. And thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I don't know if this roaming right works or not. Okay, good. Nice to see you all cheerful faces. And yeah, before we get there, I hope you all completed that form that I asked you to, right? All of you. And yeah, some more joining in, I guess. They're going somewhere else. Okay, so how do I say? Welcome to your version 2.0 of learning, I guess, after school and college, and some of you working. And welcome to Dan and Sagar. Welcome to the Executive MBA, and I teach you marketing management. At the course. Be casual. This is supposed to be relax. No need to write down anything. Pen down, listen to me, absorb as much as you can. The only difference between you and me is that I'm in a slightly elevated place, but some of you are making up for it, sitting at a higher plane. Other than that, there's really nothing different. I have more gray hair, but then all our learning is similar, right? I mean, what's 30 years of my life was without internet, and you guys started off with internet. So balancing acts going on very well. Yeah. Okay, so relax, chill out, and let's be as interactive as possible. This roaming mic thing works. This one? No. Oh. Challenges of technology is that one is when you speak, the students online won't get to hear you because, distance and this doesn't catch up. The problem number two is the chat conversation that happens. You don't get to see it on the recording. So all of a sudden I might say, hey, sorry, you didn't, I did, that's wrong. So you must be wondering what is going on. So you guys must find a way to fix all this, but for now we'll go about it. Okay, good. Yeah, so keep this slide. Now we'll get rid of one of them, right? Okay, I have to do this because I source it from a lot of places, Google for most of it. So I must acknowledge the source and the content from where it comes. So one slide with saying, thank you guys for doing the hard work. I'm using it for my own benefit. So that done. Okay, this is, please maintain Zoom, ETEC, and all that stuff. I know you know all of this. We've spent almost 2 years online, and so Zoom, ETEC is quite good, I guess. And what else do I have to? I like the second point. I don't know how the pointer works. You chose this course on your free will. It's not like the day you went to nursery. Your parents pulled you to school, right? And many of us got kicked to engineering because my parents said you should be an engineer or get a good husband or a good wife. So yeah, but now we regret, right? No, not the wife or husband part of it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. No. So attendance in class is mandatory. I guess completing assignments and submitting them on time is a must. You're okay. All of you are working, so I guess some of you might get a phone. and just get up and take the call. Nothing. No, I don't insist on you switching off your phone. Just that, make sure that you step out, and then don't try texting in front of me. I mean, just I lose concentration. Then this is for those of you online. And when I mention your name, I expect you to unmute and answer. So I know you're not sleeping, the privilege that we don't have. So that's what it is, right? There are no prescribed books. Yeah, sorry, there's no prescribed books. Read whatever you think makes sense. I'll give you some ideas of what you have to be reading. There's no fixed syllabus as well. So you see, the rules of the game is very open. I can ask you whatever I think is relevant over my 18 hours of conversation with you. And this is a management course. We intend and hope to create better managers. That's the reason why I believe you are also here. Lastly, I'm here to teach, you're here to learn. Let our relationship be very clearly defined. Correct. Okay, that's all. You know how to reach me. This is my number. I strongly encourage all of you to follow me on Twitter. I need more followers. Okay. So there you go. That's the first 5-10 minutes of our conversation. This is your professor. My name is Ramesh Nagasamudram. And this is what I do as a living. I am not a full-time faculty. I enjoy teaching. And so I've been here now for maybe dated slide. So maybe add another year, 8 years. I and Modi have something in common. Both of us decided to rule over. Okay. So I work for a company, or I started a company called Aniara Spacecom. We are in a very niche domain. We are into satellite and satellite services. If those of you come from similar field, just raise your hands or unmute yourself. All along, I've been doing, you can read this slide, right? I've been a hardcore microwave engineer, and then they threw me to do things outside of engineering. So these are just to give you an idea and just to get the conversation going, and I'll get to have you all. Which section? Oh, come. So so right now this is what I do for this is, and then just like all of us, we started off being a pure technical guy. And then I have been on both sides of the table. What does that mean? Any idea what does it mean when I say I've been on both sides of the table? Managing and technical, that's one idea. What's the other idea? Teaching and learning. Teaching and learning. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, what else could that mean? Whatever I am, could you modify that sentence a little bit? Okay, that's one. Anything else? Yeah, every one of your answers are right. Actually, that gives me a good idea of what to expect from. And I can see that there's a large spectrum happening out here. We are not really on the narrow band. Good. What I also meant, I would say what I also meant from all of the fact that I teach and learn. And more than anything, what you said was perfectly right, because of late now, I stopped reading all that novels and things like that. I would rather read something which adds on to my teaching stuff. So that is what it is. Is that what I was not only buying something, it was also selling. So I knew what it involves to be on the other side of the table. If I'm setting up specifications for a product that I want to buy, or I want to set up specifications for the services to be delivered, I know what it means. And I also know how it means to deliver something to those specifications. So that's what I meant by saying. So I've not only have I been a user, I've also been a seller. So that's one way of saying it. And product and services over a few dollars to 100 million is sometime in 1985, 86, I was with HP, and I had this gentleman from HP come and say that, we have these LEDs, and those LEDs would eventually be used in traffic signals. I had a big laugh. I said, LEDs for traffic signals, lights, and those LEDs costed a few cents. And where we are, all LEDs are everywhere. So you see, growth has happened. So I used to be involved in playing around with LEDs, right up to a few pure satellite would cost anywhere upward of $100 million. I've been teaching students for the last 7.5 years, so I can read minds. I've just become too good on that part of it. I can read minds. I can actually read an assignment presentation from somebody, serial number 3, and compare it with serial number 83, and I said, wow, Control C, Control V, excellent job. So yeah, so I can do that. So avoid it. Okay, so what happens is, unfortunately, it's the number 3 which copied from 83, and 83 gets less marks. Very simple, very easy life for me. Ambitious leader, yeah, we'll not go there. We'll stick to that. Any questions so far? Thanks for the information. Yeah, this is just the beginning, friends. Yeah, so this is your course in marketing, 18 hours, 6 assignments, 2 sessions. That's a typo. Okay. No. This is what it is. I'll not. The last guys, anybody? Enough. Yeah, the right time to, best time to walk out is now. Look at life outside. 9 self-tests. What does self-test mean? And I'll give you a Google form, and then you decide how well you have done. You won't get to score yourself. And some off classroom activity means that normally, if you work for the government, or if you're a government worker, or you work for Vidhan Sauda, all that, you work 9 to 5, and you have a very active life after 9 to 5. You some sanghas and some all kinds of things, and you don't think of work. I would make sure that you think of your class 24 hours. So I'll trouble you very often by asking you to look at articles. So I'll make sure that you think of your class through the rest of the week. So you put what you have learned into practice. Okay, that's what I meant by off-room. I really don't know. So what are we going to do over the next, or at least for today? What are we going to do? I'll give you a course overview. I'll tell you what we are doing, a bit of history. Nobody begins the story of Rama by just saying Rama was born, right? It doesn't happen. It starts with 3 generations back. We talk about the father of Dasharatha. Who's that? Wrong question, wrong place. Huh? Are you taking a chance, or are you assuming that I don't? Taking a chance. Okay, so go back and find out. What are the... Okay, guys online, what are you doing? Make some noise. That's the wrong word. Yeah. So I see quite a crowd here. Let's see. Nish, Kishan, Revati. Hi, welcome.
Yes, sir.
Hi, sir.
Yeah. So any idea who was the grandfather of Ram? Yeah, no, that's one offline activity I just checked out. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so I'll give you a bit of history, why we are here, what makes there. why marketing, why take marketing a little more seriously than what are some notions. We all have these notions of marketing. We have this thing. That's something that we will also get to understand and do the role of marketing in an organization. And you will read the rest of the stuff. So this is what we'll do in the next 2-3 hours of time. Opening minds for the vastness of more details. I just pulled it out from a book, and this is the book that you will read. Philip Kotler, Marketing, and any edition. Don't go for the latest. I belong to an old school of thought. So I said, the older the edition, the better. So don't go for the latest. Just pick up the book, Philip Kotler. Because I still want you to learn the basics. I don't want you to, over a period of time, you'll then understand what the thing is. Yeah. Even if you do a course on internet marketing, or even if you do on SEO and all that stuff, you still have to understand the basics of marketing. So at this stage, I think you should stick to basics. So you see what I'm doing. I can't, at 18 hours, I can't make you masters in marketing. At the most, I can give you a feel of what it is. And some activities you will do by yourself. Some of this we will briefly discuss. The ones which are not circled are the ones we'll go into a more detailed conversation. Okay. So meaning that we'll talk in depth about pricing, but I'll not really spend time talking about customer relationship. And we mention about this. So far, so good. Okay. Then the structure. This is your course code, by the way. The book that we are referring to. And we pull out a lot of stuff from Harvard and other places of interest, which means that we'll try to give you as much of good quality stuff to read. And also, the only problem with good quality stuff is it makes your life tougher. So I could give you a more relaxed assignment, or I could give you a Harvard assignment. Which one do you want? Both. None. Okay, so we give you these kind of Harvard stuff, so it's going to be tough for you, but then you know what happens. You play against the tough, it's easier to manage it. Then what else? The framework is fixed because I just roughly have an idea of what I'm going to teach you, but conversation go along. I have a more unique conversation. Is that a challenge? I not only teach section A or section B in this case, and then go back to section. And I can't say the same words that I said here. So it's going to be different the way I teach in section B and A, but generally hanging around in the framework of conversation. So definitely I'm not going to go and ask them who is the grandfather of Ram, because every one of them know the entire family tree of Ram by the time I go tomorrow, because you'll all go tell her. No? Right. So I'll ask Sita instead. And then, so that's what it is. You're encouraged to ask, interact, question. Yes, I want you to enjoy this. I know you're sacrificing family time. I'm sacrificing nice afternoon or morning sleep and some Netflix and nothing interesting, by the way. So, so you've come here, enjoy it. Okay, you were not pushed. You pushed yourself into it. This keeps repeating. Don't play. End of the course. We want you to be a better manager. We want to be a better individual and use the skill sets for your learning. Okay. This is the guy who will take us through the journey. He just completed about 90 years, 91 now. just live, kicking, doing well. So he's quite active on Twitter. So you can follow him up. He is called the father of marketing. So this is the book that you will read. And yeah, that's where we are. So your obligation is come prepared for the class, expect to be given activities, make sure you have a good, I think I told you all this morning that make sure you have a good internet. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you a Google form to fill. So now don't come and tell me, so I don't have internet, I want Wi-Fi password and all that. Nothing works here. So either you fill it or you know, you've already been informed. So bring along, get a laptop. You will have group assignments and you will be asked to be prepared to answer what was taught in the previous class. And you will also be quizzed of each class. So we take our job seriously. So it's up to you how you take it. Okay. Yeah, come. Any questions so far? There's been a silence. Silence is taken as? Silence is taken as? Right. Okay. Challenges for the professor. Introduction. So you just got me introduced, right? My name and what I do. But how do I get all of you to introduce yourselves? Best thing I could do is ask each of you to speak for 5 minutes and 3 hours is spent and well done. I earned my money. But it doesn't work. The two challenges that you face is that crowd that I see here, and I see a bigger crowd, which is online. How do I say, this one I should be able to recall you 2 years later, 5 years, whatever later. So how do we do that? So how do I also not spend time whole day getting to know who you are and what it is? That is, your internet connection is stable. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, thankfully, there are two very interesting concepts. One is called the elevator pitch, and the other is called Twitter messaging. Anybody have an idea what's elevator pitch? Okay. Yeah, you heard that? Yes or no? You didn't hear that. How would the online guys hear that, right? So the point that he was saying was elevator is that you're in an elevator, the maximum 30 seconds, assuming that you're going to the 25th floor or something. And it so happens that you meet up with, you meet up with Warren Buffett. You know who's Warren Buffett? Yes, no, yes. Yes, so you meet up with him. So let's say, what's your name? Srinivas. So let's say Srinivas happens to be in the same lift as his office is, by the way, I know it because he doesn't know. His office is on the 4th floor and Warren Buffett is on the 25th floor. So it so happens that strange morning on a Tuesday morning, it's just Warren Buffett and he in the lift. And this guy, I told you, right? So this guy has been planning a new startup for a while now. He has got everything in your mind, right? Come on, play along, Srinivas. Yeah, play along. Yes. Yeah. So you go. So you see, yes. Traffic, or you were late? Okay. So there he got. He has Warren Buffett, and you know what Warren Buffett has got in his pocket? Lots of money, right? Lots of money. So he's got 30 seconds, and obviously he's not going to get out in the 4th floor just because his office is. He's going to go along with Warren Buffett to the 25th floor, and he's got 30 seconds to tell Warren Buffett his brilliant idea and convince him that this is what this idea is, and what should happen at the end of the 25th floor. You hopefully he'll have him say, come walk into my room and let's discuss further. And now how is Srinivas going to say? Srinivas will say, I am Srinivas, you know, my dad's name is so and so, my mom's name is so and so, I studied in this school, I have stamp collection as my hobby. Is that how you're going to say? No, cut the crap, get to the point. Correct? So an elevator pitch is where you have 30 seconds to say everything about you and in the quickest manner. That converted into text is Twitter messaging. Twitter messaging is you limited by character. I think 280 or 300 characters. How do you say everything about it? So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get you all on a Google form, and with a lot of wit, with a lot of humor, and not too much of humor, the subtle humor, you should be able to tell me everything about you. Is that possible? Let's see what I would do if I were to introduce myself. They say, you know what I do for a living, you know what I do, everything. But this is the smaller. Okay, this is, you get pages which have this def and notes. That's the stuff that you have to read. Okay, that's what you need to read. So this is what's an elevator pitch, what's a Twitter messaging. So all of this is for you to read. So whenever you see this, you pay attention. I will never be reading these lines. Okay. So this is me introducing myself in 200 odd characters. Enjoyed a roller coaster ride from engineering to entrepreneurship. 60 now, so you know how old I am. None listen to me at home, so I come and lecture MBA students. You guys have no option but to listen to me. I tell you that I'm a South Bangalorean. I'm very choosy about the coffee I drink, and I support CSK over RCB. Okay, so everything. Anybody upset on that last line? Why is that? You are an MI guy or something? You just like Bangalore. I like Bangalore the way Kohli retires. Fair enough. Okay. Okay. So this is me telling you in just 193 characters. Now you will tell about yourself in the next 200. Okay. Take this Google form. I give you 15 minutes. I'll paste this on the chat. And what I'll also do is probably I'll paste it. I'll paste it on WhatsApp. Okay. I pasted in. Come. Sorry. No, it's not picking it. What's happening? Okay, I'm going to paste it on the chat and then we'll see what happens. I'm not able to paste it. Okay, can one of you, Anish, are you there? Anish, yeah, can you paste it on the WhatsApp? This one. Yes. you take care of that? Yeah, I'll also do it. Now I have the access. I have a common link. Got the link? Excellent. What does it say? It's, I mean, you mean he posted the wrong one? It's not going to forms. Working? Okay. Working, right? Yeah. So these are uh, I'm okay walking around the place. Are you guys okay with the professor walking around and checking what you guys are doing? Okay. Yeah. Getting the link. Working? Or are you doing something else? You're doing that. Okay. Filling the form. And now let's open the responses so I know who's who. Student info. So you don't need this link. So I share. Okay, so this is where it is, and I'll see what you guys are doing. Making sense? Following? Working? All fine? What's why number one? Yeah, there's somebody who already sent in this. Chandana, are you here, Chandana? Or yeah, okay, done. Okay, let's see what Chandana says. What's your getting to know and make to know? What's your understanding of marketing? The product, that's it, service. The product or service, which in your opinion is very high. I mean, you understand the question, right? Yeah, yeah. No. Any idea what that meant? I guess, yeah, the second one, the product slash service, which in your opinion is very high. I mean, there's too much of noise for that study. Really, like for, huh? Yeah, something like that. I really not worth the money. Yeah, it's just like I don't think we really worth watching KGF 2. Yeah, something like that. Okay, I'm scared about with a person so loyal to RCB. I don't know how loyal is he to KGF 2 as well. So I'll not get there. Okay, yeah. So kind of a bookworm. There, that's nice. This is the way. Kind of a bookworm. Play and love new things. Yeah, you can be more descriptive. I gave you 280 characters. Tall, handsome, married fellow with a beautiful daughter, learning MBA. A lot of people will now be disappointed with these 3 lines. Okay. The beautiful daughter learning MBA after cost and cost management, I guess, and 4 years of international experience and 13 in career. Career in one company and from Bangalore. Very nice, Kiran. Are you here? Yeah. Oh, hi. What are you? Solution architect by profession, bookworm, failed entrepreneur, and will voice out my opinion by choice. Who's that? Why are you a failed entrepreneur? What did you try doing? And seem to work. Yeah, whatever. So, oh, okay. So it didn't work. Bookworm, what kind of books do you read? Yeah. Okay, good. Oh, that's good. That's good. You write also. Wow. Graduate engineer, 42, Mangalorean, Kishan Kumar. Online, I guess. Hi, Kishan.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, hi. Passing information and effective communication. Big Basket is very hyped according to him. And I'm a graduate of 2 years, Mangalorean, of course, a foodie, love to take a long drive. Correct. Try doing it in Bangalore. The roads are bad. Renita, marketing is advertising for business and sales of goods. Okay, good. What is e-commerce services are hype? I'm a very simple and organized person, motivated by learning new things, which gives me confidence. Okay, nice, nice. And what does she say about why am I here? There's that call. Some new things. Okay, good. I think I'll review you all later. Hey, who is that? Aircraft engineer. Engines are the most hyped things. Why is that, Balaji? I thought they were essential to life. No? You're working for? Okay, okay. So you mean the lot of unnecessary noise about a lot of inefficiency in there. Scared. How do you travel? Right. Bus or not by? Okay, 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 okay. Make the product and service. Tires, travel is my passion. Gas turbines, exploring, very nice. Chamraja, selling products. I'm in new product development. Revati here. Yeah, okay. Hi, Revati.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, hi. Where do you work? Company, if I can know.
I work for Dell, sir.
Yeah. I love studying and acquiring knowledge, listening to music. What kind of music do you listen?
Everything Bollywood,
Everything
Collywood,
Bollywood. Okay.
Bollywood,
Good, good.
Collywood, everything like Kannada.
Okay, good, good. Jasbir, hard worker, accepting it or regretting it. Yeah. Jasbir, are you here or there? Online.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hard worker, ambitious to change the domain I worked before. Okay, very clear why you are here, right?
Yeah, sir.
Very clear. Sampath, and not a big list. I can go through each of you very quickly. Sampath, 11 years of experience. 17, 11, right? In technical writing, I'm a foodie. Ah, so Sampath, are you here? Yeah, name some 3 joints to go for lunch in HSR layout or in this area. Nothing here. Well, we will agree to disagree. I'm not. Bigna food you think is good? Okay, very nice. How many of you second his opinion? I mean, you don't have to second my opinion just because I'm the professor here. You can say eat a proper biryani, but I don't know. I think that's the most hyped product, in my opinion. Okay, Gautam. Yeah, hi. 8 years in finance and accounts. Enjoying traveling and playing games. What games? Any game. Okay. Suhas. Hi, Suhas.
Hello, sir.
Marketing
Hi.
means a platform where you ensure, share, and give brief ideas. Okay, so I get some idea about what you all think of marketing and ripping ripping myself in Accenture. Bike lover and ripping myself in Accenture on weekdays. Wow. Good. All of you. Who else? Somanatha, correct? Somanatha. Sorry. Worth for money. Engineer, but working. Okay, more coming in. Anybody here around this group whose name, I should mention your name? Number 24. Okay. Marketing is basically showcasing your ideas and reaching out to customers to sell it out with startup or organization. She says Dow is hyped up, engineer by profession, writer by passion. Jamshed Purian. Oh, okay. You get some nice food in Jamshed. Yeah, I've been there. 24 and still crazy. Jack of many trades, but master of few, not none. Very good. That's the spirit. The statement is Jack of all trades and master of none, right? Master of a few. Good. Anybody else who wants me to read out his or her name? Nobody wants me to read out. Why is that? Who is this gentleman from Davangere? Rather, sorry, Shushma, hi. Are you there, Shushma? She's here raising her hands. Done BTech, now enjoying a role in HR executive. That's what they say. No, you do engineering and become a HR person. That's what is Amir Khan told many times, right? Right, Shushma? Okay, so you guys have a rough idea how my classes are, right? Yeah, but not always. Tesla is very hyped up. Okay, anybody else I'm missing out here? You, what's your name? Dviti, are you here? Or are you still posting? We are not living this class till you post. And anybody else who's here? And you? Ashish. Yeah, wait, I heard you say hello, so I'll come back to you. Ashish Shetty, right? Creating a market, cool drinks. Or you go for the hot stuff, huh? Graduate, 15 years in finance and accounting. I am with you, my friend. I'm with you, my friend. Okay, hi. Who is that? Just saying hello online. I'd like to read about who else online would want me to read about him or her.
Hello, sir. Sushma here.
Sushma, hi. Sushma from Davangere.
Yeah, hi, sir.
Okay, hi. How is life in HR?
Going good, sir.
Going good?
Yeah,
Okay, you want to
it's been
specialize in
1.3
HR?
years. Yeah, sir.
Good. Interested in outdoor games and learn about new things? Good, Sushma. Good.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Hi, sir. This is Anish.
Anish. Anish Abraham.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Anish. I love playing games, but excited, but open to learn and understand and working in Wells Fargo as operations. Okay, very good. Good, Anish. That's it. Enough time. Oh, stop now. Waiting for you to upload for the next subject. Okay. Soumya, Dhruti, finally, she's there. Okay. Okay. Marketing is being relevant and adapting new ways to spread your brand awareness in market and the consumer. Okay. Electric vehicles are hyped because we have indefinite amount of fossil fuel. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Converted Bangalorean corporate employee of a well-known e-commerce company, she will not disclose it, who often asks questions like, when will my order be delivered, or if I have a free membership. Okay, good one. Nice. Sushma, good job to all of you. Clap yourselves. Well done. Okay. So there you go. I have a rough idea what it is. I don't know, Srinivas, where do you work? I didn't ask you. I didn't open. You're global? Okay. What do they do? Chips. Okay. So you're the guys in huge demand now. Yeah, the salaries have done well for you. Okay. Right. Any other questions that you have before we walk into the subject? Anybody else wants me to talk or help himself? Eventually, I'll get to know you all. I'll go back and read all of these. And okay, one thing remember, you could avoid nothing in this world is compulsory. But eventually, when I get stuck somewhere, and I'm saying, what's your name? Anjali. I'm just you as an example, I'm not meaning you. So for some reason, I believe that Anjali hasn't really done well in one of these assignments. So I like to know, has she really been submitting the other forms, or has she been just skipping all of them? Then I noticed that she's not submitted any of the Google forms because I don't have the patience, and nor do any one of us have the patience to go through all of it. And I said, there's a problem. But then I noticed she, for example, has been submitting all forms in time. And then for some reason, she hasn't done that. So I'll be a little more lenient in terms of understanding it. So everything in this life is not compulsory. You could live. But when it comes to a small difference in evaluation, to consideration what has been done in the past. Okay, got it? Right? Enough of that. New share. Go back to my class. Okay. Okay. So now I know you all better. We spent almost 40-15 minutes. Now we get down to business. We get down to the real act of doing it. We talk about manufacturing, sales, and marketing. We look at a historical perspective. Just the reason why Ram was brought into the picture was to give you an idea as to, let's go a little bit a few years back and then understand why marketing is an important subject in your MBA and why it's important. Okay. We'll run through the pages of business history. It's not history, as you know. So in the beginning, there was only darkness. No, we are not going that far. Okay. We're not going that far. We're just going to say, yeah. So the early days of, I'm sorry, I pulled the wrong. So the early dawns of civilization, we are talking about 5,000 years back, 6,000 years back. All of us were hunters and gatherers, right? Obviously, I mean, we hunted for food, we hunted for survival, or we were the hunter. Obviously, right? We were running away from animals. We hunted animals for us. The only thing that mattered in our life was survival of the fittest. And then also the Darwin theory and all that came up. Where was marketing? Where's sales there? Obviously, nothing like that exists. You can't go and beg with a lion who's about to eat you. Well, man, let's watch Netflix tonight. They're not going to work like that, right? Now, so that was that part of the history. So let's go back there. Then came the kings. And what did the kings say? Even then, the kings, we are talking about 500, 600, 700, or whatever years back. What was their definition of the whole world? Their definition of the whole world was the only way I can lead a more luxurious life is provided I tax you more. I, as the king, I have to tax my servants more. I mean, my citizens more. And that's the only way that I can survive. If I can't tax them, let me invade. That's the only thing. Why did I invade another country, another kingdom? Only because I want money. I want so that I can be more rich. I can probably build a bigger palace. But the fundamental thing is that there is no win-win. It's impossible that there can be a win-win. I win, you lose. The battle happens, whoever is the winner, and history is written by the winners, never by the losers, right? History is as perceived by the winners. There used to be a series in Netflix, which was called, the whole genre is called alternate history. I don't know how many of you have actually seen that. In what happens in alternate history is in the end of the Second World War, it's Germany and Japan who win the Second World War. So America is divided. The West Coast is run by the Japanese, and the East Coast is run by the Germans. There is this small patch in between who are trying to fight. That's alternate history. The history isn't like that. History is written about how the bad guys, or the Japanese were the bad guys, and we, the victorious Americans and the Britishers, we have defined and given them a better quality of life. Similarly, the whole idea is that there is no win-win. I win at the cost of your life, because the size of because we believed that there's only so much that the earth has. And so I have to take it. It means that if I eat, you starve. There's no concept of more and more generation. That's why when you look at a guy like Genghis Khan, virtually massacred millions for the simple belief that for me to be rich, for me to survive, I have to kill someone. Point number one. Point number two is Chandamama and Twinkle are very, very old dated stories, but then you know those stories anyway, Hitopadeshas and Panchatantras. Imagine that that stingy moneylender that comes up in all our comics and things like that. What is that stingy moneylender? The stingy moneylender, every day in the night before he goes to sleep, he opens the tijori, takes the pot of gold, counts the number of coins, and puts it back. Right? So why is he doing that? He is not investing that money. He's just saving it. And then what do they even do? Is that he will dig a hole in the backyard, bury the money out there, and then probably in his deathbed, he just call all his children and say, you know, where the money is, and then so that you live a more peaceful life. Why? Because they all believe that tomorrow is going to be worse than today. So I must prepare for a more horrible tomorrow. There is one, the size of the pie is limited. There's only that much that the earth can provide for us. And there are only so many of us. So if I have to eat better, if I have to sleep better, then it is at the cost of somebody else. The whole movie Lagan is based on the concept that he just says, I care a damn whether there's drought or famine, more taxes, right? All this was what was happening. Till one smart guy came up with an idea which is called credit. What did credit do? The creation of credit changed the entire definition of the definition of credit was that I will lend you money, you use this money to do something else, and jointly we will benefit. So instead of going and charging this farmer, what I'm going to do is that give him money. So he uses this money to maybe buy more fertilizers or buy more seeds or maybe employ more people. And then maybe he was producing 10 tons of rice and tomorrow he produces 15 tons of rice. He lives a more better life. And by the own definition of the taxation structure I have, I get more taxes. So that is what the creation of wealth did. The creation of the credit system. Credit sure that the definition of I win, you lose changes to a concept called we both win. It's possible for us both to live and survive. That's my WhatsApp call of don't bother. Okay. Okay. So if you're getting me so far, these are fundamentals of our discussion. What I'm trying to do is to get you through a long journey to understand why we are all sitting on this table and why we are today here on 2nd or 3rd of June, whatever the date is. So that's what the creation of credit system did. It began to have the thought that tomorrow is better than today. That's why you have this concept of, if you look at the older businessmen, the businessmen 2 generations back, they talk about having amassed a huge amount of wealth for the company or for their children or for their grandchildren and things like that. But the new concept that we have, the likes of Steve Jobs, the likes of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, is the philosophy of grave. What does that mean? Is that when I'm going to the grave, there's going to be zero money in my bank account. I'm not interested in that because the pharaohs and the pyramids, I mean, their souls disappeared, but the wealth live within the pyramid. So we don't carry, make sure that it distributed. So that is what was the creation of the credit system. Now, what's got credit system got to do with marketing with all of us? That's the thing that this person is not living. Okay, so with kings now funding, with now kings saying that, okay, I give you more money for agriculture, I go money for exploration. Most of this happened in the European world. As a result of which, they started funding enterprises. Enterprises, kings encouraged for larger ship to be built, more exploration to happen. And that's how you have the Vasco da Gamas of the world, you have the Columbuses of the world. And if you read about Columbus and how he went, Columbus was one of the first entrepreneurs. He went country after country saying that I'll find a new route to India or to the South, to the Eastern Asia, going westward, right? The concept that he believed that the earth was truly round and I could go the other way too. So with the exploration and bigger ships being built, the Europeans started exploring the world, whereas we were here in India doing deep meditation and yoga. And so what happened was they started colonizing a lot of these countries. So there you see what's happening is that the credit system made the kings to encourage exploration. Exploration meant colonization, and colonization obviously meant plundering and other things. And you listen to Shashi Tharoor, he'll tell you more about it, right? Okay, and I'm sure all of you have listened to his. Yeah. So then what happened? More enterprise, more development. The Industrial Revolution happened. When the Industrial Revolution happened, what is that we could produce in huge scale? Earlier, what was known as handicrafts, why were they called handicrafts? Because you built them by the hand. Now you have machines. So I could throw out 100 or 1,000 meters of clothing every 2 hours compared to, hand looming it. So now you see what is happening. They started producing more than they could consume. Okay, so you have a rich and poor divide, and you have a rich and poor divide, and you have the haves and the have-nots. Who are the haves? The European or developed or the other countries are the haves. The have-nots are the poorer countries which were being plundered. And what would they do? The colonized countries were the resource for the raw material, and the produced material would have to be bought by them. Now you see the word that the seller was the king. It was not the buyer. The buyer is these guys. There was no choice. I sell you this product, you have to buy it. Just like for a long time, we had no other scooter than Bajaj or no other car than Ambassador and Premier Padmini. You tell him that, sir, the scooter, I have to tilt it by 70 degrees to start. Well, you want to buy this or walk home? That's the only choice. So you see the manufacturer or the seller was the king, because they controlled everything out there. The buyer had no choice. You had to buy it. There is something called, you've seen the old movies when you have the guy had 6 children, or even in our old photos, you'll see all the children had the same kind of clothing for Diwali, right? It go and all of them, because, well, there was what was called control cloth shops, where you only get 3 or 4 varieties. And so you either have to choose between blue, red, and orange. And alternatively, you end up there. So this is where, yeah, the seller was the king and the buyer had no choice. So you see where we are heading in our conversation. Next, what happened? Next, the end of the Second World War, we are a little more closer. We are probably 75 years back. It was the end of the Second World War and the end of colonization. New countries developed. There was Japan, which grew up. There was called the 4 Asian Tigers, which was like Hong Kong, Singapore, maybe something else, and some Malaysia and something else. So now the rich and the poor divide started diminishing. The smaller countries started doing better. The colonized countries grew up and started doing very well. Now the seller had competition. Not only was I forced to buy the General Motors car, I could also choose to buy a Hyundai car, because Hyundai came from one of those developed countries which were otherwise not there. So now the seller had competition. Earlier, the seller was the king, the seller had competition, and the buyer had some choice. Not much of a choice, but some choice. You see from where we are coming from a concept of the seller is the king to the buyer having a choice. So now the whole world of business has changed. It has now moved from a seller's market to a buyer's. Now today, if that Bajaj scooter, no way we are going to buy it, because just because you tell me this, I don't know, I have plenty of choices. There was product scarcity to a product of plenty. Now we have excess of everything. We have excess of everything. I don't like Zomato, I can go to somebody else. I don't like this, I don't go to that. There were limited sources to, obviously you can read the rest of the alternate thought. Limited sources to unlimited options. Supply demand was a mismatch. Now the supply demand is a mismatch on the opposite side. There are lots of guys to supply to you. The other day I got a call from Ola. They're saying, sir, in the excitement that I'm going to help Mr. Ola change the world, I also had paid 500 rupees to book that scooter. It's lying out there. So one fine day, or just last week, I get a call saying that, sir, when are you planning to buy the scooter? Now now I'm beginning to understand if they're desperately running behind me, I think there's a problem with the scooter, right? So I tweeted on that thing saying that if Ola is calling up guys like us, I think they have a very funnel shortage and things like that. But that's an alternate thought of it. Finally, the seller is no longer the king and the buyer is the king. Why is all this happening? Because it's a globalized world. It's so globalized that somewhere else I used to actually teach what is called the butterfly effect. Anybody have an idea what's a butterfly effect? Okay, there's a saying, one small ripple somewhere. The butterfly effect is defined as, the butterfly effect is defined as, they say that if the butterfly in Africa flutters its wings a little more randomly, the cost of coffee will go up. Crazy. But that's called the butterfly. One small effect. I mean, we know this, right? One idiot ate a bat and then the whole world goes to a pandemic. Yeah. So, I mean, why would I'll never go back to the butterfly example, right? So that is what is it. One small act has a global impact. So it's a globalized world. We know everything that's happening. I'll do a hunt. The challenge today is that the buyer is more educated than the seller. I've done a 30 model matrix before I'm going to buy myself a product, right? So that is what it is. So the buyer is educated. The seller needs to please the buyer. Earlier, I would go and stand in front of BSNL and beg every day, when will you give me my connection? And I'm pleased to tell you that my efforts paid and I got it in 7 years. Okay. So imagine if I don't get my new SIM card in the next 4 hours. I'm not going to take that service, right? So the seller has to please the buyer. The seller has to listen to the market. What I want. What is it you want? It's not that Henry Ford came up with a brilliant option for each one of you. They said, this is the card. Choose any color you want, as long as it is black. That's it. He gave you no choice on color. You have to buy the black. And today, Mr. Henry won't buy it because we have Mr. Hyundai who will give us a spectrum of colors. So that's what is happening. You have to listen to it. You have to react to market needs. We'll talk about it a little more later. Act to market. So all of these are called the act of marketing, right? So I hope exactly at 10:35, were the first use of the word marketing coming up. Are you guys following me? Yeah, this is probably the only chance for you to tell me, am I talking too fast? Am I talking French or making sense, right? Are you following me all the while? Yes? Yeah, online?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
good. So then the next question. What's the difference between, what's wrong with this? Product scarcity means there are very few products available. You don't have, despite the fact that I began saying that there are two ways to answer this. This is a very brief way, or probably I'll take the longer route. Okay, so even the slide before this. In an industrialized world, visualize an Indian in 1920s or 1930s. Everything, right from the shaving stick that we use, or the shaving blade we use, or any other product, or even the shirt that we wore, the cotton was grown in India, but the finished product came from England. So you didn't have a choice, right? There was just about that much that they would do, and the Britishers had to give it to all the world this thing. So there was only a limited amount of product. Or I would say, if you really want to understand, there's a limited amount of product diversity. There's a limited amount of product diversity. Like I said, there were only 3 kinds of cloth, colors of cloth that you could buy, or there were only 2 models of cars that you could buy. There was, if you're not happy with the word product, you say product diversity was very scarce. So right now you had only 1 product. There was only 1 BSNL that was providing us a service. So there was only 1 gas company which was providing this for a very long time. You guys don't belong to that era. There was a long time when they would only provide you with 1 cylinder. Now, what the problem with 1 cylinder is that there is going to be a certain period of time in your cooking where the gas cylinder is off and the second cylinder hasn't come it. So why is it? So because you order it and it comes. So you go back to old ways of cooking, which is coal or whatever that stuff is. So that was what I meant by product scarcity. Now there's no product scarcity. Name anything, you have plenty of it, right? And there are lots of universities also that you can choose from, including WhatsApp, right? So there's no product scarcity of any kind. Make sense? So now you tell me, open up your mouths and tell me what's the difference between sales and marketing. I'll give you a minute to look at this. And then let's try building up this definition of what is sales versus marketing. Yes. Any thoughts? Guys, either use the chat or unmute yourself. What's the difference between sales and marketing? Those of you who have, all of you have entered, no? What I know. Creating a demand, fulfilling it. Any other definition? Sales is whatever is produced. Okay. Marketing is product or service that meets the customer demand. Customer requirement. Okay, yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Whatever is going on, like as in selling, marketing.
So sales is the final part of the activity. Marketing is all that. Okay. Anything else? Sales is, I'm just stating it so the guys also know what's happening. You will realize it when you go back and listen to your recorded session. There will be a lot of silence. They're wondering what's happening. It's somebody out there talking and listening. Yeah. So I'm trying to avoid that. Yeah. So sales is. Okay, so sales is manufacturing to a demand, and marketing is you're creating that demand. You're creating the brand value. Okay, anybody else? Quiet section. Yeah, chat window, they're saying something. What are they saying? Sales is selling the product. Marketing is promotion of the product, which will boost sales. Okay. Yeah, anything else? From marketing? From marketing, you can create one more market. It's almost speaking. Right, right. No, you're right. But better get used to. Okay, we're going to make it lively and very well said. Marketing is creating a new market. Perfect. Creating a new market. Example of that, can we get that going a little bit more? Marketing is advertising the product to the buyers. Okay, good, Shushma. Yes. IPL, yeah. There was just plain cricket, and now you have a total new genre of cricket, a 20 overs game. Perfect. It's a pure marketing ploy. Perfect. Good. Well said. Anybody else? Any other? Oh, that's a very interesting thought. So you are saying that there is a demand and supply, and marketing is disturbing that demand and supply. Hmm.
Hello, sir. Hello, Montesh here.
You create a market.
Yeah, marketing is making a customer feel and
Perfect.
understand
Perfect.
the knowledge and innovation what you had to
You
to
need
implement.
to speak one more time. I was not listening to you. Go ahead and start from the beginning.
Marketing is making a customer feel and innovate them what the idea you have and make him comfortable with that.
Okay. Okay. So marketing is make the customer feel nice about what he's buying. Okay. You any idea you have? Perfect. So what you're saying is certain products get recognition. Certain products, there's so many very fine products which are there, but which are not just not recognized. My professor would say that there are two options for you to be that beautiful looking flower in the jungle. Be that ordinary looking flower in the Lal Bagh flower show. So if you're that beautiful looking flower in the jungle, who's going to come and watch? See you. But if you're that ordinary looking flower, there are going to be thousands taking a selfie with you. So eventually, it's not about how the thing is, how are you positioning yourself? And that ordinary, or I mean, ordinary is too much of an overkill. People believe that that's the best thing. So you need to project. Marketing is making sure that the product is heard. The product, there's some very lovely products hidden somewhere, but they don't have an exposure to it. Very nice. Anybody else wants to add? Marketing is a strategy to promote the product. Perfect. Perfect. Good. So yeah, yes. Marketing strives for customer assurance, and sales assures quality. Okay, fair enough. Good. Good. Anybody else? Done? This is where, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, among all that conversation that I wanted, I think Srinivas is bringing a line of thought which what I want to dispel with the notion that I'm. You use the word brainwashing. So why would you say marketing is brainwashing?
Because every day when we get to the morning, so even we don't want that product, we are not in the need of that product. We can lot of marketing tasks. So we will do this.
That is. So you mean to say that is marketing, or is that sales? No. Obviously, where you guys are all beginning with point zero, right? So that's why I don't know how many of you actually read my Google form in depth. I said you give your in-depth, straight opinion of what you think of marketing. And I'm going to throw back the same question or the same Google form to you at the end of the 18th hour. And I'm hoping that your answers would be different. So your idea that this telemarketing is something that brainwashes you, pushes you, forces you to buy a product, even when I don't want it. Fair enough. So let's see what is there in the next slide. We have a break at around 11 o'clock. That will be 1.5 hours, right? So this is what it is. Exactly what all of you said. So the priority is the product, whereas here the priority is the customer. Marketing is to understand what you want, understand without then using existing technology and reducing cost. His priority is on innovation. Okay, I'll not hang on here for too long, but I'm looking at the time. As I said, definitely the notes are for you guys to read about. Let's go there. Let's look at the difference between sales and marketing and its impact. How many of you know Farm Easy? Right? I mean, Farm Easy, I don't like that ad, but then Farm Easy is something. Farm Easy is something like 5 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old. And Thai is something like 40 years old company, 40 years old pharmaceutical activity or testing laboratory, which is the world's largest, they call it. And Farm Easy acquires Thai. How can a company which is 4 years old, company which is 40 years? The reason is ThyroCare says, Mr. Ramesh, do you want to come? Do you want to test yourself for all those thyro issues and all that? I have these outlets located at these places. We work from this time to this time, and on Rahu Kala time we don't work, and all that stuff we don't do. And make sure that you come to these places to get your sample. Farm Easy says, hang on where you are. We'll come and pick up your product. I know you are busy. And I saw that if you're watching cricket, the way that ad, which was about a product called Healthian, where the guy is giving commentary and somebody is taking the blood sample. So he says, we will not disturb your work. We will come in. Of course, I want to get my blood tested. There's no doubt about it. I'm worried. But Farm Easy understands what the customer wants. Whereas ThyroCare is arrogant. He says, this is where I am. Take what you want. Take what I have. Or live it. Just like I was talking about the example of the cars. There were only 2 cars at the time, which was Premier Padmini and Ambassador. And I had this car called the Premier Padmini. And it doesn't matter if I die of thirst, but I have to take a bottle of water for the radiator for my car. Because they never even bothered to improvise their design, because that was the only choice that was available. So every day morning, I'll have to open the bonnet of my car, check for the water, and pray along that the car doesn't stop. And then when I switched to an X model, I mean, it was heaven. So that's the problem. So a 40-year-old company which says that here is where I am. Farm Easy says, I know what you want. And so they get acquired. Same thing with Baiju and Akash. Baiju says, I'm delivering stuff in your footprint. Of course, this argument is dying now because Baiju himself is in big trouble, but we'll not get into that part of the conversation. So there you see what is happening. Akash, which is another large entity, did not get to the customer as close as the customer wanted, and then he gets into trouble. Look at this. This is the value of the franchisees in IPL, the new one which just got added up. The total of all of this is greater than the total of the cost that Tata paid to buy Air India. And half of these guys, I think the Lucknow guys and the Ahmedabad guys haven't even played the cricket match yet when I put up this thing. So a lot of hype, a lot of stuff saying that this, whereas Air India is physical asset, thousands, 500s of those aircrafts, parking slots, defined approved routes, and still the guy doesn't know how to sell the product. Tata went into, Air India went into losses, sell the thing. I always would prefer to have bought a ticket for Air India whenever I used to travel abroad or even locally. But try by booking yourself, not now, try booking yourself a ticket for Air India on their website. Website doesn't work. Nobody really cares for you. thing called Make My Trip or something, which makes your life easier. They understand how the whole thing works. So that is one example of why even companies, which at one point in their life stop worrying about what the customer is thinking, they do it. So one way of marketing vis-a-vis sales is that marketing involves a feedback. You listen to your customer. Am I doing okay? To me, have I been talking to you for the last 50 minutes? I mean, you could just go on and on and on. So this is part of the, if you, and in life as well, don't listen or pay attention to feedback, you would be out of job. Is the skill set that I have worth it? I've done, I don't know, Oracle 7, and then I'll sleep for the rest of my life. Is that enough? Is your boss happy with what you're doing? Are you paying attention? It's just that if you don't listen to feedback, you are destined to fail. I mean, day before yesterday, Mr. Uddhav Thackeray refused to listen to the feedback of his own people. So there you go. One probably obtuse example, but that's what is all about marketing. Which part of it? I said that the difference between sales and marketing is sales is that you just sell the product. Marketing is keeping your ears and listening to what the customer is saying. And I'll explain that in the very next slide. The very next slide. You look at, I'll probably give you guys an assignment and go. This is something for you to read. I'm not going to go through all of it. Okay. Yes. Sales and service. Yes. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely. Let me go back. Okay. And then hang on this slide. No problem. Actually, what is a new thought that is very strongly developing? What happens is, let's say I come up with an, let's say I'm Ola or Aether, for example, and I come up with a product. One is put up banners all over the place. I listen to her feedback. I listen to her. What is it that you want in an electric car or an electric scooter? And then you're going to come up with some 10 reasons or 10 things that you want in it, in your scooter. So taking those 10 reasons, I go ahead and produce the product. 9 out of 10, the product will do well because I've listened to all of you. I haven't got up one fine morning and said, this is how my product is going to look like. So then what happens? The product is deployed in the field, and over the last 4, 5, 6 months, the customer is visiting the service center. Correct? So when the customer visits the service center, the customer is going to complain. The customer is going to complain that this is not working, that is not working for a very, very, very long time. And I'm talking about in recent times, very, very long time. The customer inputs were never actually beyond the service department, saying that, the ignition doesn't switch on immediately, or the blinker switch doesn't come back, or something, I can't. So the new line of thought is that marketing begins through service. Exactly what you're saying is that if I pay attention after the product has been sold and his complaints, I guess I'll be able to do it. So you're just to emphasize what you want. So before we get into the next point, let me just see what's my next slide. I normally don't like this mode of operation, but okay, I'm going to force you to listen through this part of the conversation, and then we'll take a break. Okay, so man has basic needs. You know what they are, right? I mean, these are all things that you learned even before you entered into an MBA class. What are they? Roti, kapda, or and internet data. Very good. So you got all of them. So those are basic needs that a man wants. man or woman, whatever. But beyond that, man also wants physical activity. I want to be employed. The worst thing that I can give you is say, don't do anything, sit at home. Beyond a point, sitting at home is very, 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 very problematic, right? And man also wants to socialize. Though the best, the biggest problem with the pandemic was people went into depression because they had to be isolated, and never being isolated, they get into depression because they're not able to talking, because man is a social animal. We all grew up reading about it. Man is a social animal. That's one thing. And man wants power by default. But you ask somebody, a slightly mid-level management, you ask him, do you want a 15% increase in salary, or do you want to manage a bigger team? 9 out of 10, the answer is going to be, I'll manage a bigger team. Because man wants power. Power is something that is inherently something that excised right from my mother to the child, from the mother-in-law to the daughter, right? So it happens all the time. It's the exercise of power is a fundamental need. But these are needs. That means to say that beyond needs are fundamental. You will, the very basic that I can ask you. But man just does not have needs. He has wants and desires, right? I mean, I can't give you a better example that one fine day you don't want potatoes, you really want wafers, and you want McDonald's, burgers, and all that stuff. Is that over and over time again, every want becomes a need. And then you aspire for something more. So you have, and then you have desire. I want to eat rice, but I want some nice biryani, but then I want the biryani to be from Meghna Foods, right? So that is what is needs, wants, and desire. You get the point? So these are the kinds of stuff that we are talking about. There are all kinds, and what does marketing do? Marketing here, not just to address your needs, to address your wants, and to address your desires. A man said that I'm going to traveling, I want to carry a torchlight, I get a compass, I take this, that, all of this. I say, okay, man, all my mobile. You've seen those videos in which you have a desk in the 1970s, and then keeps shrinking into a regular device. That's because they start understanding you better. This is the best example that I can talk to you about, is that you have a crowded station or a counter, and then you have maybe you have Make My Trip, which addresses your problem. You have a coffee which is going empty. So then you have Uber, which says that, or not Uber, Swiggy, which says that, okay, Mr. Coffee, I will make sure that your coffee can be delivered in some place. You know all of this. I don't want to get along. No more are we hailing the taxi. And then Uber and all those services out there. And just very recently, about a few months back, near my house, I was waiting for an auto. I was just waving at every auto, and every auto is empty, and the guy doesn't stop for me. Finally, one of them took pity on me and stopped and said, "Sir, if you wait for an auto, it never work. Download Uber and pick an auto." So you see, that is how progress is all about, right? I think I have a lot of calls to attend after this. Okay. Finally, the funniest part of it is broken glasses, and then somebody comes back and says you have the Gorilla Glass, which addresses the problem of slippy or what is called buttery hands and things like that. This is something that I from the industry that I come from, so I'll give you an example of it. During the Cold War, you know what is Cold War? Yeah, between Soviet Union, the erstwhile states of countries, and US. One of the Cold War was who will go to space first. Would it be America was a huge thing. That was kind of a very hot subject of discussion out there. And eventually, you know who won the battle with the Russians launching the Sputnik. So they said, we're going to launch a satellite in Sputnik. And that satellite keeps going round and round and round the Earth. And there we are. We were the victorious. We did it first. But how do you know that the Russians actually launched it in the sky? What's the guarantee? So what they did was the Americans put up one receiver. And whenever the satellite would start coming closer, the intensity of the signal would go up. So, you have these radios, which kind of fade out and fade in. So you have that, and then it drops down. So, at the peak that the satellite is, right? So turn this the other way around, and you have what is called the GPS system. So you see, somebody uses one technology just to check whether the Russians actually launched the satellite, and then you just turn it around, and then you have a GPS thing which tells you where you are, not where the satellite is. So that is what is the use of wants becoming needs, and how do you use the term of addressing the whole problem. I'm going to leave this slide and we are done with it. There are kinds of needs. There are what are called stated needs, real needs, unstated needs, delighted needs, and secret needs. What does that mean? That any customer is not going to tell you normally beyond the first or the second point what he or she wants. The guy is going to walk in and say that I want a fast computer. But that's the stated need. I want a fast computer. But why do you want, what is the real need? He says, I want a fast computer which is at a low price. His first demand is fast computer. The next is that he's going to have at a low price. He'll never tell you that I want to use this computer for gaming. He'll say, I want to do it for studying in school and things like that. But if you offer a video graphics card in that price, though he will never state it, the customer will get into all of this in depth in the class, just about 1.5 hours in the class. But the secret demand is he wants to record TikTok videos. So, but you'll never know. But that I know that she actually wants the computer for TikTok videos, then I know exactly how to address her requirement. But she's never going to say, so are you going to say that? All right. Okay. So done. We take a break now. I actually thought I'll give you a conversational assignment while we break for coffee. Yeah. So we'll spend 2 minutes. Design some examples of various needs, wants, and demands. Examples that you can come up with. A need, want, demand. A need is rice, a want is biryani, and a thing is ambur or whatever that is. Any example of needs, wants, and demands? What is that? Crafted beer is a basic need for you. Okay, so it's a demand. Oh, so okay, let me understand what's in her mind. I want water to quench my thirst. I don't mind beer, but I want crafted beer. Is that what you're saying? But you need to come up with a need. What's the basic need that you're looking at? Okay. Okay. How many of you believe a beer is a want or a need? It's a want. Okay. Okay, good. But yeah, I get your point. That's exactly what it's saying. So the best way to please you would to look at what exactly that you're demanding. And that opens up a lot of markets. Right? Right. Anybody else? Any example online? Well, there are 14 unanswered thing on. Is it 14? It shows only one here. Yeah, marketing, advertising the product. I think you're done. Okay, guys, online, a bit of an advice. Time is money. So if you are quiet, you will be having only that limited conversation going on. Need for survival and demand is the fulfillment. Okay, good. Ask more questions, unmute yourself. Have the professor complain that there are too many of you talking. So that will be a better way of saying. Anybody else want to?
Roads are, but
Perfect, perfect. Eventually, what happens? Eventually, what happens? The reason why I'm overstating this, she said a want is some basic clothing. Yeah, I'm sorry. A need is a no. Yeah, need is a basic clothing. A want is you like to have a single dress. Demand is that it better be from Zara. Over a period of time, and I'm not talking about you, over a period of time, Zara becomes the very basic part. Now, no longer is she going to be excited 3 months every time. Why do you bring every time from Zara? Think of a better name. Ritu, what is that? There you go. So that is what is need and thing. I'll give you guys. Let's have a 15 minutes break, and then come back to the class. 11, 10. But before you go, communication requirement is a basic thing. Any doubts generic on the class? Are you guys all with me, following me? And because if there's anything you want to say, this is the best time to say. Pause recording. Okay, quick. Okay, I guess you can hear me now. Kishan.
Yes, sir. I
Yes,
can.
sir. We can.
Perfect. Okay, let's get along into the next topic. We spent about almost an hour and a half just to give you an idea of what is some kind of an introduction to the subject, and introducing myself, and also get to know all of you now. And this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How many of you know this? How many of you don't know this, right? Obviously, quite a few of you who don't. Okay, so what happened was that we need is very definitive. And again, at some point, it's been generally assumed that marketing is an art. Okay, so you're fit for marketing, because you talk too much, or you fit for marketing because you can convince people, like somebody has been talking about. It's partly true, and I guess it's true with anything, right? I mean, we are all. I was talking to Srinivas just while we were having coffee. So the point was that man has a very unique characteristic. If you look at a newborn elephant or a newborn penguin or a newborn giraffe, whatever that is, It can just, the moment it's born, it can start walking or it can start swimming. But very unlike for a human being. A human being is the least wired animal. Least wired. We're only wired to cry, breathe, maybe suck for milk or whatever that is. Very, very least wired animal. Every other thing is an acquired characteristic. There's no difference between a baby and another one, but one baby is going to be very fluent in Konkani, somebody is going to be very fluent in this, is because everything is an acquired characteristic. That's why you throw a penguin in a desert, the guy is going to die, and they bring a camel to a point of freezing and it dies. But a human being can live in both the places. It's because we have that uniqueness that we are the least wired creature and we can rewire ourselves to adapt to many conditions. And you would have noticed that there are so many of these elders who struggle to do WhatsApp, who struggle to do Zoom calls, but they are equally smart even at that age who are able to do it. It's all about how we are adapting it. Why am I saying this? Is because the need of the hour is to learn, relearn, unlearn. A lot of things that we have learned is gone. But let's go beyond that now. So Maslow's hierarchy of need said that every man is somewhere in this pyramid at some point. Now, the very base of the pyramid is those fundamental needs. Like I said, roti, kapda, makan, and you all added internet and all that. Fair enough. That's the very basic requirement. A man cannot think of anything else if you cannot provide him these fundamental things. Once these things are given to him, he's got himself a food, he's got water, and then next thing he wants to do is secure himself. The food that I have earned, the job that I have got, the money that I have got, I need to. So you need to feel a sense of security. Now, I don't believe anybody in this classroom is hanging on here beyond this day. You don't understand hunger. You don't probably understand what is to be sleeping on a footpath because you are not there on that level of the Maslow's pyramid of needs. Okay, you may have felt very insecure in some place and some time or things like that, but technically all of us are outside of these two layers. We have taken these levels and gone beyond. The third, once you have this psychological needs, the physiological needs, the needs of safety, then you have what is called the need to be loved and belonging. Because man is a social animal. I mean, the worst thing that you can do is not communicate. Or I refuse to talk to you could be the greatest punishment that anybody can give you, rather than they've seen so many movies or so many individual instances. You say, hit me, but don't talk to me. Or being isolated is one of the things. We need to feel intimate. We need to have relationship. We need to feel good about it. Obviously, hanging around it is the position of power, which is also coming. But having done all of this, you have a feeling of accomplishment. Is that I have traveled in this journey. I have reached there. If you start looking at what it is, somebody out here is exactly in this time that you want to feel belonging. This is the time when you want to get married. This is the time when you believe that I want to do something else, maybe expand or get into more man management kind of activities in the office. You're not looking at just salary, because these two are purely the decision to join company A and company B would be on whether these two needs are met. I want a job first. The first thing I wanted to get out of my college is I want a job. The last thing that I'm looking at is beyond that. But now beyond this, it's called the feeling of accomplishment. You want to tell people that I have reached out there. That's when you want to buy yourself a better car. or you want to show a better, buy yourself a better house, or you want to demonstrate to the world that I have a sense of accomplishment that I have. Maybe most of us in our life keep hanging around in these places. Okay, where is this? Okay. Then you have what is called the feeling of self-actuation, meaning that now I have done it. I have done. Now is the time for me to give back to society. I've done enough. If you look at most people, they never go beyond this. Very few people go into this level. Like the two gentlemen who went to Indian Institute of Science. Who are they? Know them? Who said that we're going to set up a hospital and a medical research center. So they have a sense of accomplishment. It's time for me to give back to the society and say that, okay, enough is enough. I want to do that. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs said that this is where each man is. Where are you? It's for you not to answer me, for you to decide, where are you? Am I here? Am I here? I believe that I've already reached there. On an afterthought or an alternate thinking, I don't want you to take this forward. I just want you to think. Maslow said that I think I made a big mistake. Had I turned the pyramid around, and again, I'm saying this is not for your class consumption. This is for you to think about what Maslow said, that had I turned the pyramid other way around, there would have been no wars. He said that if every man were to begin by saying, I have reached, I have a sense of fulfillment, the very fact that I'm living today, like the yogi, they've already given up everything. And once you have given up, you turn it the other way around. So he felt that because I defined the pyramid in these needs, these all resulted in war and one trying to get the better of the other. So this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Hierarchy of needs, you will have at least 1 or 2 questions coming up to you in your exam. So make sure you have understood what I've told. I'm here for any clarification, and then I can help you out. All good? Fine, makes sense? Okay, good. Google form for understanding your sales and marketing. Okay, I'm going to skip this for a moment. Thankfully, right? Company to adapt marketing needs and wants and where they landed up today. Okay. If you look at it, they adapted or failed to adapt. I'll give you one more series of thoughts, which will then help you to understand the subject better. Look at this slide. The product is the same. Connect is the tadka. What do I mean by that? Is nothing has changed product-wise. Nothing has changed product. Food is still food. It's the same burger, or for Shushma, it's the same Davangere dosa, right? Nothing has changed there. Earlier, you would walk into the restaurant to eat. Somebody said, branches can I open? Why don't I open out the franchising? I open up the franchising. Then instead of calling and asking Shushma which place to go, reviews for the restaurant. So you write review. So somebody said, writing review, what is the big deal writing? I'll rather have food delivered to you. So you have food delivered. And then somebody comes back and says, why should the whole restaurant exist in the physical world? It rather well exist in the virtual. You have cloud kitchens coming up. So nothing has happened to the food per se. The food is the same thing. It's just that the way you connect. The same thing with buying tickets. You see the way it's all happening. Nothing changes. The base product remains the same. The way it to you is changing. Earlier, you had to go and visit an agent to buy a ticket. Now you say, you do everything right there. You flag a, now you book a car. Now that's not enough for me. How do I up the level? Why do you want to book an Ola regular? Book an Ola Prime. Because while you're sitting at Ola Prime, you also get to watch movies. Or if you're not happy with Ola Prime, go for Ola, wherein the moment you walk in, it'll greet you by the name. What are they doing? The product is still the same. The roads are still the same. The cars are still the same. It's just the way is happening to you. Everyone is seen as a major innovation. It's not a major innovation. It's just that I'm connecting with you a little more nicer and I'm listening to you a little more better. Look at Netflix. What happened with Netflix? And Reed Hastings. Who's Reed Hastings? The guy who started Netflix. So the problem, all the problem started was Reed Hastings was going and borrowing CDs from Blockbuster. Blockbuster Video was a company which was giving you CDs on rent. So one fine day, maybe for whatever reason, he goes there 3 days late to return back the CD and he's charged a bomb. He says, why? No, because you returned the CD late, I'm going to charge you more. So that's when Mr. Netflix says, wow, that's not correct. You can't, you're not doing something good for the customer. The customer has a genuine problem. So then Netflix, and in what does Netflix say? Netflix says, pick up the CD, put it in a cover, drop it wherever you want in 10,000 locations. So he addressed one small pain point of the customer and came up with a solution. Blockbuster went bust. Over a period of time, he noticed that people were no longer buying CDs, but they're now going on a stream mode. He adapted his services, streaming services, and that's how we are doing today. So you see, every time, the more customer-centric you are, you start developing your business better. Look at these products. I work out of a WeWork office. And in my opinion, there's no difference between WeWork and Starbucks. Starbucks says, pay for the coffee, sit whole day. This fellow says, you sit whole day, the coffee is free. So you pay for the desk, coffee, the desk is free. Nothing has changed. Absolutely fine. You look at what happened between Jio, Airtel, Idea, and Vodafone. They say you pay for the voice, data is free. Right? We give you 200 MB data or something like that per free. Jio said, voice is free. That's it. It's just the way you change the minutes of the game. That's it. Change the rules of the game. I don't know how many they call Tata Docomo. That guy revolutionized the entire billing system. I call her and say, are you coming to a class or not? She obviously is going to say no. So that's 10 seconds of conversation. I get billed for a minute. So Tata Docomo said, you talk for 10 seconds and you get billed for a minute. That's unfair. So we'll bill you for 10 seconds. That looked like a brilliant. We thought our bills are going to collapse and become less. Now, eventually, everybody started doing that. So what you do is the product doesn't just play around and change the rules of the game. That is what is the art of marketing all about. Is the better you understand, the better you're doing it. The same product, promotion is the driver. What does this mean? During the summer holiday, Boost will say, buy Boost, will give you a racket. So, what do the children want? The children don't want Boost, they want the racket. So you're using the racket, the promotion is the driver. The racket is the one which is making you sell the Boost. Or you buy grams of tea, you get one Era jar free. I don't know how many of them are in my house. Why would you just buy it more for it? That's a fact of life. That's how they sell it. Kinder Joy, nobody eats the chocolate. They throw it away. They play around with it. But that's the way it works. Wives, some airline offered wives fly free. Lots of guys went along. None of the wives knew about it. Okay. So that is what is the promotion. And you know, Samsung did a great job by saying one screen replacement free. Do you think they're doing it free? No, they're building it in the cost. But they make you feel that more confident. I don't mind dropping my phone because you know it's going to. So as long as you change the rules of the game, you can get better of the business that you are in. And this is the most brilliant example that I can ever think of. Look at this bottle of Head and Shoulders. It costs anywhere between 70 to 80 rupees or something. Now, nothing happened. How does another company address the problem? It's the same product. Nothing has happened to the product. The product is still shampoo. He sachet because the poor could not afford it. So all of a sudden, like the conversation that you and he had is to create a new market. He created a totally new Head and shampoo at 74 rupees. Not every one of us can buy it. But at 1 rupee a sachet, I guess every one of us can afford it. So that is what it is. Are you playing around in it? You're creating a new market. You're creating a different user. Yeah, this, of course, all of us know the story. The product is fine. I believe that the Tata product was good. Pricing, it's how much? 1 lakh or something? 1 lakh a car. Pricing was perfect. But in my opinion, the way they promoted the product was bad. The promotion of the product was bad. They said it was promoted as a cheap car. It was promoted as an alternate to you poor guy who's taking 2 kids, your wife on a scooter. Let me give you something else. So whoever bought a Tata Nano was considered poor. Why couldn't you afford a better car? That was how the positioning of the car was. They said it was a cheap car. It was a car for the middle class. I declared myself as a middle class guy. I wouldn't want to do that. The way they should have positioned it is they should have made it the car that will solve many problems. The car will solve the problem of traffic. The car which will solve the problem of parking. The car which will solve the problem of fuel consumption in this country. They should have made this bigger guy, this bigger BMW guy, owner say that my other car is a Nano, right? Like the way that you look at a guy who's driving a Reva, you feel nice about him. Even though, you know, it looks crazy, but you feel nice about him because you don't see him as a poor guy. You see him as somebody who's doing something good for the nation. That's the way the product should have been positioned. So sometimes you may have a fine product, you may have a brilliant price, but you don't know how to position yourself. Then we have one more. We'll skip this. Then you'll have this. The product is good. The pricing is perfect. Credibility is great, but you're not listening. Every one of us, I don't know if you belong to the Nokia era or not, but I belong to a Nokia era where every other phone was a Nokia phone that I had for the first 10 years of my life. So it was such a brilliant product that I used to have. I remember the product was so very reliable. And there was no Ola, no Uber, and there was not even the new Bangalore airport. It was the old Bangalore airport. I had to take a taxi to go to the airport. The taxi normally was a Maruti van. And you know how a Maruti van is. You actually slide the door to close it. And I remember, can't count the number of times I've done this. I slide the door. As I close the door, my Nokia phone flies. It falls there, 3 pieces. Just pick it up, patch it up and go. Nothing happens. So goddamn reliable. So goddamn reliable. But what happened to Nokia? The guys refused to listen to the customer. We are the kings. We know better than you. No, I want dual SIM. I want to keep my personal life and business life separate. No, you don't need to tell me. No, I am the king in this business. I will not give you a dual SIM. You don't need it. Everybody is saying Symbian is Android is advancing. No, no, no. We know what is best. Just arrogance walks out of it. Customer what is it? Competition walks out, and they just don't come up with a better product. Eventually, they came out. I just want to tell you one more thing. Eventually, they came up with Android phones. And I was so, as you see how passionate I am about the Nokia phones that I have. The first Nokia phone had only 100 contacts. So now when I met Srinivas, I had 100 contacts to be full. Now, who do I drop out to add Srinivas's name? Challenge now is to, oh, I'm going to drop this guy and add. But now you see, now we have I got 4,000. I guess you guys have 8,000 contacts. Okay. So when Nokia came up with the second set of phones on Android, I told my wife, you need to buy yourself a Nokia phone. And they came up with a 3-pin charger. Why would you come with a 3-pin charger? How many houses have 3-pin chargers? Most of us have 2-pin outlets. I guess there's one here as well, which is a 2-pin. Nokia is just not listening. Don't listen, you die. That is what. Can you name a few companies that didn't make it? Now you tell me a few companies which just would not make it. Micromax, Sony Ericsson, beyond phones.
Sir, it's a Konica, sir. Konica camera reel.
Konica camera, yes, obviously. Yeah, they should have thought what is happening to the digital world, right? Yes. Anything else? Anybody else? You've been very quiet. Give me an example. BlackBerry, you read and told me. Why BlackBerry? What went wrong? Let's understand why BlackBerry. No, yeah, good. Whatever. BlackBerry was eventually a leader in it came to business phones, but they refused to adapt themselves to the smartphone market. Anybody? BPL. Yeah, excellent brand, but just couldn't in cash on the brand. Your example. The quieter ones will. As a matter of fact, I just realized, okay. Yeah, HMT, correct. Okay, I just realized it's a policy that I have is that I'm going to give a 5-minute pause. I can't have you sit in the same place after coffee break. Now get up. I'm going to give you yourselves a 5 minutes time to reshuffle yourselves and get to know your neighbor. This, but you know each other, right? You know him? Met? Okay. You're not moving. You to move. You're sitting here. Move. Okay, I give you guys 5 minutes to get to know each other. Yeah. Okay, good. Are you all settled down? I mean, all I can see is you guys are moving away from the first benches. The farther you're going. Yeah. Okay, good. Done? Or back, whichever is comfortable. Okay, good. So you know your neighbor, you know, each of you will eventually form groups. So it's in your own, for your own benefit that you have a group and then you talk to each other. Okay. Finally, we get down to some bit of seriousness. We get down to a curve. What is this curve called? Anybody can explain this curve to me? What is that? No, just explain this curve. I mean, not curve, sorry. Explain this. Yeah. Consumption rises when drop. Example. Petrol. Which part of the... Now you tell me, does the price of petrol go up when you consume more? Actually, okay. No, but in India, if you consume more petrol, the price will go up because India has to import petrol. Point number one. Point number two, petrol and electricity and water have some unique characteristics, and we learn about them, is that they least impact, even on a falling price, even on a rising price. Because what you may grumble about it, but you will travel. You will grumble about it, but you will not bathe less more if just because water is expensive. So let's leave that out. Look at this curve. What does that say? So the price of internet falls, what will happen? The price of data falls, you will consume more data. The price of transportation drops, you will travel more. Something like that. So this is a very, very basic curve. This is a curve all of us grew up in our lives making out. You reduce the price, people will buy it more. Correct? No doubt about it. None of us have a doubt. Anybody online have anything to say? There is a no, sir. That says so. Gold. What happens when the gold? I ask the others. Gold is like petrol, water. They want it, they'll buy it. Right? Okay. So price to demand curve is an elastic curve. Price falls, demand increases, or consumption. But hang on, if life was that simple, then we wouldn't go. But there are exceptions to the rule. What is that? Price falls, consumption rises is what we learned. But now I'm saying price falls, consumption falls. What is that? The price of the product has gone down, but you're consuming less. What's happening? The value of the product has gone down, but you'll buy more of it, no? But I never said quality. I just said price falls, consumption falls. Give me an example.
Maybe due to
iPhone, what
outdated
happens?
product.
That's the third curve. Price rises, consumption rises. In case of what happens, price falls. Give me an example of somebody's mentioned quality, but you didn't complete the sentence correctly. When price falls, consumption falls. So you start making an assumption that they are reducing the price because there's something wrong with the quality, hence they are doing it. Because a couple of years back, all these automotive companies started giving us huge discounts on their cars. Why? Because they were forced by the government to get rid of all their BS4 engines. So they were willing to give their junk to us for a low cost. But why would I buy it? I'm not your junkyard. Even if you offer me at a lower price, no way. So that's what it is. But price rises, consumption rises, is when you believe that there's something nicer about the product. There's something good about it. Oh, if the prices there must be something nice. If the iPhone 16 comes up, well, it's obviously worth it. Something like that. So that is what is the exception rule. But let's look at two big definitions. One is when the price rises, we are saying when the price rises, consumption rises. Price rises, consumption rises. Why would that happen? Let us look at two examples. When price rises, consumption rises, there are two kinds of categories. One is called Griffin Goods category, and the other is Veblen Goods category. Now, what is Griffin Goods? Griffin Goods are cheap, inferior goods, which are there existing in the market, and when the price of that increases, people will buy more of it. To understand Griffin Good, I'm going to give you an example. So you see, look at a typical house. Let's say my house. I buy rice and wheat. My total earning or expenditure for food is $400, right? And for my typical consumption, 40 kilos of rice and I buy 10 kilos of wheat. Let's begin with a basic assumption that rice is basic need. Wheat is a slightly better commodity and a normal good. Okay, wheat is a nicer product. Rice is a much required. So the cost of rice is $5 per kg or 5 rupees per kg, and the cost of wheat is 20 rupees per kg because it's a slightly better product. But we consume both rice and wheat. Now, tomorrow, the price of rice becomes 6 rupees. My consumption is the same, right? I'm still eating 40 kilos of rice and 10 kilos of wheat. At that rate, it becomes 440 rupees. I cannot afford it. My income is only 400. So what do? Remember that rice is a basic need. So I am going to increase my consumption of rice, sacrificing my consumption of wheat. So you have a situation where rice has gone up and the consumption of rice has gone. Of course, it's gone at the cost of wheat. Those basic goods, those very inferior quality items, which when the price goes up, the consumption goes up, are called Griffin Goods. Right? Do you understand Griffin Goods? The other example is Veblen Goods. What are Veblen Goods? Veblen Goods are those perceived as high quality, the very opposite of the Griffin Goods, the very opposite of Griffin Goods, where they are positional goods. That I might like, for example, she was giving the example of Zara, right? So tomorrow, if Zara's basic price of a Zara dress has gone from 5,000 rupees to that itself is an enough reason for her to buy it. There are positional goods. So positional goods are those because like designer handbag or iPhones or a fine quality of wine, you're willing to pay more because they are perceived to have a higher quality. So understand, you have Griffin Goods and Veblen Goods. Any questions on this? So now what is happening? The price to consumption curve, linear, becomes non-linear because of the effect of marketing. So one more definition of marketing is when the price to consumption curve becomes non-linear, that's because of the presence of one more element that is called marketing. So you have one more definition for marketing. Are you guys clear and following me? Okay. Now let's go ahead towards completion of the class. Is that Maverick CEOs? Do you know you know the word Maverick? Or you want me to explain? Yeah, Maverick is a crazy guy. As simple as, or Mr. What's his name? Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a brilliant example of being a maverick guy. He's always doing some nonsensical things. But but hang on. Every time Elon Musk opens his mouth, every time the word Elon Musk, what comes to your mind? Tesla, SpaceX, everything. So they are the biggest marketeers. Do you think Apple is spending money on marketing? No way Apple is spending money on marketing. Steve Jobs, the word Steve Jobs is the best marketing for Apple. The word Richard Branson is the guy who used to have, if you guys don't know, that is Virgin and Virgin Atlantic. Okay. This is beyond brands. Which company would you miss? Something that I asked you. How profitable are these companies? Look at this. Look at this Apple laptop. The very fact that this, do you think this guy has an Apple laptop? No way. If he had an Apple, he wouldn't be putting a cover on. As simple as that. And I used to always give that example. I don't want to sound repetitive, but then the example is that there's this guy who's rushing to the airport. Rushing to go to catch the flight. The last boarding is announced, and he has to rush, but he sits down, takes out his laptop, and acts as though he's typing something. Which brand of laptop does he? By default, he's going to have a Apple laptop. So you are the promoter. The user is promoting the brand. The user is promoting the brand. I used to have US Polo Association. The user is promoting. Why don't you buy Ram Raj? Why? You see what's happening. You're finding funny about it. My son, when he was doing his law, they need white shirts. I told him, go buy a Ram Raj white shirt. The guy said, I'll run away from home. But don't you ever do it. Because it is, imagine who is spending more money, MI or iPhone on their marketing. MI. With iPhone, you don't need to market it. I'll just flush it around, and that's the what is the conversation all about. So this kind, why do you dislike marketing? And what is the good impact of marketing? So now you tell me at the end, almost another 15 minutes, what's bad about marketing? What's good about marketing? Let's do the good part of it. What's good about marketing? I earn money for my teaching. That's one good part of marketing. You get information about the product. You come to know about the new products, almost similar. Yes. You're continuously innovating. What else? Miss E-commerce, tell me, what's good about marketing? How is
Show
that good?
show off
What is that?
show off of brand. Show
So
off.
marketing is show off. Okay, understood. But what's good about it? It opens up choice.
Yeah, choice of show off.
choices happen. Okay. So let's look at what fundamentally, what is good about marketing? Yeah, it upgrades lifestyle, promotes business and trade. By default, it gives you jobs. Remember, no marketing. Amazon, ban, tala. Right? Generate jobs, awareness, absolute awareness. Give me an example of awareness. My next slide is going to give you example of awareness. Marketing generates awareness, product knowledge. Give me an example of it. Huge marketing campaign in India. The huge marketing campaign. What is that? Byju's? Bigger than that. Bigger than that. Bigger than that. What was that? Around that. Give me another example. Bigger than that. Bigger than that. Your vaccination program. That's the huge marketing campaign. Only thing they're telling you is get for you, good for you. Their marketing good, brings awareness. Social marketing, obesity and diabetes. I didn't know what was BMI index. Now you be worried about yours because that's what it is. And dash is the new tobacco. Complete the sentence. No. Okay, fair enough. Dash is the new tobacco. Sugar is the new tobacco. Now this generally we are don't take sugar consumption. That's all a marketing campaign, right? That's all about it. And reviving gray audience. Yeah, we can go about it. But what's bad about marketing? What's bad? You guys say, what is bad about marketing? Yeah, makes you spend more than you afford. Which phone do you have? Oh my God, this phone. Don't come near me. Yeah, so that's it. That's it, right? And brand differentiation, there doesn't exist. So I love that. There used to be this product which says water bottle, water product, more oxygen per liter. What rubbish. You will die if there's more oxygen. More oxygen, but that was it. They don't care for brand and safety. Miss Amazon. One product, there's so much of packaging around it. Who is responsible for throwing the package? As a matter of fact, one of the things I want to do is that Amazon should be held responsible for disposing the package. Now, I am held responsible for that huge packaging that comes around, right? I mean, just then promoting materialistic lifestyle. Buy better thing, buy a better product, do this. Haven't you gone to this restaurant and all that? And illegal, all that pan parags and all that. It's all marketing, but it's illegal. But then you see, that's how they survive. Okay. Keep an eye on the clock. Marketing, good about marketing. We made you land up here. Right? So what are marketed? Goods are marketed, services are marketed, events are marketed, persons are marketed. Look at this. Pradhan Mantri, Ab ki baar Modi Sarkar. A huge marketing campaign, right? I mean, it was all there all the time. End polio now is a political this is football, I think. Yeah, visit Dubai is another. So if we ask you the types of marketing, things which are marketed, you should be able to give some kind of an answer. Okay. Then we go into last 2 points and then we close it today. But every product has life. Every product, like a human being, has life. It will die, eventually die. One product that refuses to die, of course, is Little, which has been there for a so longer time already. So products have what is known as product life cycle. What does that life cycle include? That there's an introduction phase, there's a growth phase, there's a maturity phase, and there's a decline phase. Right? So what happens in the introduction phase? Not many people know about it. Then in the growth is where lots of people buy that product. And then eventually it's like the Maruti Alto or something like that. And eventually it will fade out into oblivion. I'm not going to spend too much of time talking about it because I assume and I'm quite confident that most of you walked into this class knowing what was a product lifecycle. But in an MBA class, at least in my classes, we have what is called an alternate thought thinking, meaning that product lifecycle is good, nice to talk about it, but we are in a different world today. We are in what is known a new way of defining things. Now we are busy making apps, now we are busy making Alexas, now we are busy making big baskets, making what else can you think of? Cult fit and all that stuff. But how do you know you're successful? How do you know Big Basket is successful over what is that? So many of them, Blinkit or whatever that is. How do you know it? The new way of looking at things is known as the law of diffusion of innovation. Innovation, any innovative product has innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. Who are these innovators? These innovators are the most craziest people. These innovators are the ones who have money with them. These innovators are the ones who will go and buy any product. For example, I was among the early guys to pick up an Alexa. I was among those early guys to pick up a bulb which you can control it from your phone, had a Wi-Fi, and it created 10,000 colors. What did I do with the product? I don't know. It just disappeared somewhere. So, those who are always experimenting. So a company cannot get excited when they feel that 2.5% of the people have already targeted, people have already product. Wow, I was the first guy to download NeoPass. You know what is NeoPass, right? That product from Tata, which was there in the IPL. But I was also the guy who deleted. So 0.5% are innovators who are always experimenting, and the company never takes them seriously. They know that there are certain section of the people who will do it. But there is who are known as the early adopters. Now, these early adopters are those who are innovators are never influential. They can never influence. Hey, don't talk to Ramesh. He's always buying something new, and he'll again get rid of it. He has nothing else to do, something like that. An early adopter is one who forms 13.5, and these are numbers for numbers' sake. Don't say 4 becomes a point of discussion. No, there are about 13% of them who have great impact in the society. Now I know that if she has bought a product, wow, she has bought the product after a lot of evaluation. Now, when she buys a product, she's going to be very influential. Oh, what's your name? Aishwarya. If Aishwarya has bought something good about it, so we'll end up with all of us buying them. It is called early adopters. Now, these early adopters are the darlings of the company. They are the ones who will get the best discounts. They are the ones who will be sought after. They are the ones they will keep on watching. What is Aishwarya doing with NeoPass? Or what is Aishwarya doing with some other? Let's probably have a next slide which has some examples. Yeah, I took M-Fine as an example. I don't know if you know what is M-Fine, which is a pharma company which allows you to do something. And Alexa, I don't think is an early adopter now. Alexa has become, but we'll stick to this example. So they're always watching. Alexa is watching what is Aishwarya using it for, how is she struggling with the product and all that. Because the moment this user reaches 13.5, they have what is known as the tipping point. That is that point in the scale where the balance tilts. The product is no longer a product. The product is a success. So at 5, you have what is known as the early majority buyers. These are those bulk buyers wherein you need to upgrade your system. You need to up your production. These are the ones who will bring you the chunk of money. These are the ones who will bring you lots and lots and lots of money. These are the ones which will bring you customers. These are the ones who will actually start the business. But late majority are those. What if I came and told you, hey guys, I just want to tell you that today I was the first time I used a Uber and came to college. Laugh at me. Because Uber is now a given. So these are the late majority guys. They are the ones who will not even be cared for. They are ones who are adapting into the system. There will always be somebody who is in the laggards category. The ones who will not adapt themselves to the new ones, and no market or no organization cares about them. There are a lot of people, for example, like my in-laws, they don't want to use an ATM card because they're scared that their money will be stolen. They believe that UPI apps will not work because I'm never comfortable with. I'd rather write a check. How do I tell her that the check is easier to forge than but they're not going to listen, right? So this is what is known as the law of diffusion of innovation. You guys follow me? Absolutely? To the point?
Yes, sir.
But
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay. Remember, I'll be asking you questions at the beginning of the next class.
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so we are done. Almost as on the clock. Okay. But we'll spend some 5 minutes understanding each other. So this is your, you have an assignment. I've already uploaded the assignment. I've already uploaded the assignment in LMS. And let me show you this. Assignment 1. No. There's a date for you to complete it, and everything will be available to you on. Okay, let me. Oh, it so happens that. Pardon? No, I'll bring it up. Hang on. Now, makes sense? Your assignment, can you see it reasonably well? Your assignment is for 30 marks. It's a group assignment. You have to do a 10-page PPT, and you have to do a single-page fact sheet. What is a fact sheet? Hang on. We'll teach you in the next class. Followed by a video presentation for no more than 15 minutes. All of you in the group will have to join together, sit formally dressed, and make a presentation of your PPT. Last chance to get out. Last chance. Okay, every member of the group will participate in the video presentation. Additional instruction in the separate file. And what are these 5 companies that I've chosen for you to present? First is a company called Drive. I don't know how many of you know Drive. Drive is the new guy in the block who is challenging Uber and Ola. So you are an entrant in the red ocean market. What is red ocean? Okay. So that is what it is. Group 1 will do Drive. Group 2 will do NoPass. 3 will do WhatsApp UPI. How good is WhatsApp UPI? It's not doing well. Okay. Future Group. You know what is Future Group? Brand Factory and Central Mall and E-Zone, Big Bazaar. You will have to do something about it. So future group. This BSNL. BSNL is almost dead, but BSNL is happy to have Aishwarya join them as head of marketing. So Aishwarya is going to revive BSNL business. So that's your presentation. Are you clear? Make sense? This is what is the presentation assignment that you have. How am I going to grade you? Out of 30 marks, 10 marks is primarily on how good is Aishwarya, how good does she talk, how is he. I don't want Aishwarya to look and say Neopass launched in during well. No, I don't want you to read. I want you to be able to talk about it. So 10 marks goes for that. There's another 10 mark which goes for something else, which I talk about in the other class. And then the remaining 10 marks is how the group present the people. So that is how it works. Understood? Any questions? No questions? You have a deadline for that. I think end of August you have to do something.
Sir, whether this, who will form this group, sir?
Yeah, you will get the group notice maybe by no later than tomorrow or by next week. That will be typically a group of somewhere between 7 to 8.
Okay. Now this group is only for this subject or for all the subject?
Or the grouping remains same for the entire period of your stay at DSU.
Okay.
No, all entire. So the group is same for OM, the group is same for accounts, the group is same for this one. Okay.
Okay. Okay, sir.
So these are all you're reading my slides. Okay, done.
Done, sir.
So do I stop recording? Okay, good.